Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about 5 morning habits that have really changed my life. And in the past couple years, I've undergone a huge transformation in the way that I think about and live out my mornings. For years, I was that person who would stay up too late and then sleep in as long as possible in the morning. I would hit snooze several times, and then finally I would have to rush to get out the door and get ready as fast as possible. My mornings were far from relaxing, and that initial stress in the morning would really carry with me throughout the rest of the day. But more recently, I've started seeing mornings as a time to really set the tone for my day, and that really has changed so much for me. Now granted, there are still some mornings where I struggle to get out of bed. I'm not naturally a morning person, but overall, I really have seen a dramatic shift towards intentionality and productivity in my mornings. So today, I want to look at 5 of the biggest habits that have really changed not just how I start my days, but really that have impacted my entire life. So I'm excited to get right into this. If you haven't already though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below, and let's go. Let's get started with one of my favorites, and that's that I started reading every morning. I love reading right at the beginning of my day because it's a great way to start off my mornings feeling motivated and inspired. For me, especially as someone who isn't naturally a morning person, I found it to be a great way to kind of get my mind up and running and in a productive and thoughtful mindset. And you don't need to read for long either. Personally, I set aside about half an hour every morning, but even if you're just reading for 10 or 15 minutes, you can still draw insights from that you can carry with you throughout the day. And this is definitely one that I feel like people tend to make excuses for a lot of, well, I don't have time for that. But if you really think about it, chances are you probably spend at least 15 minutes scrolling social media before starting your day, or perhaps just hitting snooze and trying to stave off waking up for as long as possible. Neither of those are particularly productive or filling though, and so by switching that time instead to reading, it can be a great way to really inject some intentionality into your day. And if you want to get started with this habit, I'd recommend setting aside just 10 to 15 minutes in your morning. You can always increase that later if you want, but set aside 10 to 15 minutes and then choose a book that's going to hold your attention. Especially if you're trying to develop the habit of reading, reading a book that actually interests you and that you want to read is going to make setting aside that time easier. Once you firmly establish the habit, maybe you can read one of those weightier books that takes a little bit of digging to get through. But at least when you're initially beginning, I'd recommend starting with something that you personally find fascinating and maybe is a real page turner. And if you really want to take this one to the next level, I'd recommend trying to read 2 books at once, one to feed your mind and another to feed your soul. So typically what this looks like for me is I'll start out by reading a chapter of the Bible in the morning and then move on to reading a chapter of the latest inspiring book or novel I'm reading. But really making a habit of reading every morning has helped me to start off my days in a far more intentional and thoughtful headspace than I ever did before. Okay, and then the second habit is really more of a night habit that has a huge impact on your mornings, but that's to go to bed on time. And getting a good night's sleep is so important. In fact, sleep's been called one of the 3 pillars of good health alongside diet and exercise. But sleep has a huge impact on our productivity and concentration levels too. When we don't get enough sleep, it can really hurt our ability to concentrate throughout the day and can impact how much we're able to get done too. But it's not just our productivity that sleep impacts either. Getting enough sleep can also make us happier and more positive and more emotionally stable as well. And I feel like to a certain extent, all of us have heard it before, sleep is important, yeah, whatever. But it's important that we really internalize just how big of an impact getting enough sleep has. Sleep really has a massive impact on our daily lives, and so we need to make it a priority. So to get started with this one, we kind of need to go back to our childhood in a way and give ourselves a bedtime. Most adults need an average of 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. I know for me at least the sweet spot is 8 hours. I'm a happy person if I get 8 hours of sleep and not if I get less than that. So just figure out how much sleep you want to get each night and then look at your wake up time and then do the math, figure out when you need to go to bed and then make it a priority and start going to bed at that bedtime every single night. It might sound silly or insignificant, but getting enough sleep can have a huge impact on your health and well-being. I know for me at least, it's really helped me to be more alert and productive throughout the day, as well as just generally a more positive person to be around. And then next up, our third habit is to start the day with a clean space. And with this one, we're really talking about our physical surroundings. Starting our day in a mess-free environment can actually have a dramatic impact on our overall day. And the big reason for this is that clearing out our physical space can have a huge impact on our mental clarity and our ability to focus and be productive. When we're surrounded by mess, we tend to be less motivated and more prone to procrastination. Plus, those little messes scattered about our environment really allow distractions to creep in far more easily. I like to think of it this way: a clean space equals a clear mind. And when our minds are free from distraction, we're going to be able to focus at our best and to be the most productive. And so this is a habit that you can really begin in your morning, but the impact of it is going to carry itself with you throughout the day. And so to get started with this habit, I'd recommend at night going to bed or in the morning before you begin work, just whichever works best for your schedule, to spend 5 to 10 minutes tidying up your space. This doesn't take long, especially if you make a regular habit of tidying up, but think of it as doing your future self a favor and really creating an environment where you can be productive and focused. And ever since I started doing this one, I've noticed a huge difference on those few days where I forget to start my day off with this habit. I'll usually get an hour into work and wonder why my mind is just in a million different places and look around me and be like, oh, I forgot to start my day with a tidy environment. So if you really put the effort into this one and make it a habit, I promise you'll notice a huge difference just in the way that you feel throughout your workday. And as a side note, I work from home, so this one mostly applies to my home environment. But if you work at an office, try to start out your day with a clean office, and that really can have a huge impact on your productivity too. Wherever you work, just try to start your day in a tidy space. And then next, our fourth habit is to make a smoothie. And personally, I've always struggled with eating breakfast in the morning because naturally my stomach doesn't really even begin feeling hungry until about 1 p.m. And I definitely don't enjoy eating heavy foods before then. So making myself daily smoothies has been a great way to kind of ease into eating in the morning, as well as giving me a boost of energy to help start my day. So to get started with this habit, I'd recommend picking a healthy and easy smoothie recipe to make, and then just try to always have the ingredients for that recipe on hand so you can make it in the morning. And something I like to do to make this a bit easier is to buy my ingredients in bulk. So I'll buy 10 bananas at a time or a massive bag of frozen blueberries, and then to freeze all of the items. And that includes any greens I put in my smoothies too. So I always have a massive bag of frozen spinach in the freezer, and just by freezing everything, it makes it so much easier to kind of grab and create. Plus that way you never need to worry about food going bad either. And I'll leave the recipe to my favorite smoothie in the description box below if you want to check that out. But smoothies really can be a great, healthy way to fuel your body as you begin your day. And then finally, let's wrap this up with habit number 5, and that's to write down your priorities. And this is a habit that has really had a massive impact on my overall organization and productivity. Without careful planning of our days, we tend to focus on only the most time-sensitive tasks, even if they aren't the most important ones, which often results in us feeling busy without actually being effective. If you look at the time management matrix, where we tend to spend most of our time is in the urgent but not important section, which isn't where we want to be. This is the area that usually leads to us treading water instead of making progress towards our goals. So instead, we want to focus on those needle-moving activities, the things that are actually going to make a difference, and doing that is easier than you'd think. It just takes a few minutes of planning. Write down everything that you want to and realistically can accomplish. Then identify your top 1 to 3 priorities. And the way I like to think about this one is if I accomplish X number of tasks, and you can fill in the blank there, but if I accomplish those tasks, then I'll have had a productive and a successful day. Figure out what those couple of key tasks are, and then make completing them a priority as you go into your day. And by mapping out your day in this way and beginning with identifying your priorities, it really can help you to move from treading water to reaching your goals and really being productive and effective in your work. So those are the 5 habits that I've implemented in my morning routine that have really had a dramatic impact on my life. They've helped me to become healthier, more thoughtful and intentional and productive too. And my hope is that this really motivates and inspires you to make the most of your mornings. How we begin our day has a huge impact on what the rest of our day looks like, and so it's important that we begin it with intention, and these habits can really help you to get there. So if you want to try incorporating one or more of these habits into your life, then that's awesome. My recommendation to really try to make it a habit and to solidify it is to try practicing it every day for 30 days. That time period and the daily practice of a ritual helps turn an activity into a habit. So give it a go and know that I'm here cheering you on all the way. I hope you enjoyed today's video though, and if you did and haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button below for more simple and intentional living videos coming at you twice a week. And remember that if you're looking for daily inspiration and updates, you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Ashlynne.Eaton on there, and I'd love to have you join me. Thank you guys all so much for watching though. I'll see you in the next one.